Hello, welcome again to our class. This will be the second video discussion for our inquiries, investigation, and immersion subject. So since we're already done with the first discussion, let's recall about the brainstorming, the process, and how are you going to make a research agenda, and a lot of things about research. And now, let's proceed to the proper discussion on how to make a research paper. Okay. Now. Now you have here class the variable. Okay, what is variable? Variables are one of the aspects of research is describe and explain variables. A variable is a central concept in research. It is a measurable characteristic that changes in value. So it may vary from one group to another group, one person to another person, or with the same person over time. Well, actually, in mathematics, there are varieties of variables. So it could be the x, it could be the number, it could be a letter, a lot of things. Okay, but however, in research paper, variables are words. Okay, these are words that are the factors, or could be something that is affected or that cause an effect. Okay, a variable is anything that assume very numerical or categorical values. For instance, sex is a variable, meaning the implication of sex here is the gender. Huh? It's not something that is done on the bed, but it is something that is related to gender. So sex is a variable. It may be if male or female. And this example belongs to categorical values. It won't be applicable as a variable if the setting of the research is an exclusive school for the girls, okay? Because if you're going to include a variable that has um, male or female, but you have conducted it in a school that is an exclusive school only for the girls, well, I think it's not applicable. Okay, next. Okay, we have here the quantitative versus the qualitative. Now, I know that you have, I couldn't, I'm not just sure, I'm not sure if you remember the definition of quantitative and qualitative, but let's define the quantitative first. Quantitative, from the word quantity, which means, okay, from the word quantity, which means total number of something, or meaning number, okay? It is something that is countable, something na nabibilang. One, two, three, that represents graphs. It could be pie graph, bar graph, line graph, and a lot of representations of numbers. However, for the qualitative, it is more on the quality. Okay, it's more on quality. Okay, so it is somehow observed. It's not countable. It is observed. It is written. It's based on narrative form. It's based on observation. It's based on its quality, the texture. It's not the number. It's all about the observation. Okay, so that's the qualitative. For quantitative, that's practical research two, and qualitative, it's practical research one. However, for the immersion, this is a combination of two. That's why you're not going to make it here if you did not comply the PR1 and PR2. So since you're already done with those two, so you're now qualified to proceed on immersion or III. Next, we have here the types of variables because we have the continuous variables. Okay, first the type of variable is a quantitative. Quantitative, also known as numerical variable. Okay, numerical variable. What is continuous variable? Continuous variable class that can make infinite number. Okay, from the word infinite, meaning walang hangganan. So example of this type of variables are age, okay, height, and temperature. Okay, so remember that that's continuous variable. However, for the another subtype of another subtype of numerical variable is discrete variable. Okay, For discrete variables, also known as categorical or classificatory variable. Okay. On the other hand, is any variable that has a limited number. It has a limited number only. So it could be sex, could be your blood group, number of children. Okay. Let's say, for example, your age can be 17.5. This is a continuous variable, ha? Kani. This is a continuous variable. For example, your age can be 17.5, meaning 17 years and 5 months years old. So it is a continuous variable because your age is still ongoing. But your parents can't have 4.5 children. So paano ba yan? How are you going to divide that 4.5 children? You have 4 kids and ano yung 0.5? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng 0.5? Half of the lawas, half ng katawan, pinanak na walang paa, tapos merong ano, limbs. Okay, so this is an example of the ito yung example ng categorical. Okay, let's proceed. Now, for the variables, we have here, of course, the numerical variable. Okay, we have two variables now here, the discussion. Actually, there are lots of variables. That's why you have to bear with me for you to know the definition of each variables, okay? For the quantitative variable or numerical variable, we have here the discrete and the continuous, and that's something that we have discussed earlier. Continuous variables can be further categorized either interval or, okay, we have also the interval and ratio. So example for the discrete variable, we have here the whole numerical, we have here the whole numerical value typically counts. Exempli gracious or example, number of values visits to the dentist, ito yung discrete variable. And for the continuous variable, we have here can take any value within a range. For example, height in centimeter, depth of the pocket in millimeter. Okay, but we have also here the other subtype of the continuous variable. Again, we have here the numerical or the quantitative variable. And under quantitative variable, we have these two. Okay? Itong dalawa, the discrete and continuous. And sa continuous naman class, we have here the interval and the ratio. Now, what are these two? Okay. Interval variable class is a measurement where difference between two values does have meaning. The difference between a temperature of 60 degrees and 50 degrees is the same differences between 60 degrees and 20 degrees. Well, you don't have to be confused with that. I think you have the initiative to access the information on YouTube, and I think it will be more clear if you're going to dig into those references. Okay. Just for the ratio variable, you just have to remember that it has a clear zero definition. Okay, it includes height, weight, and distance. Okay, next. Okay, let's proceed here to the dependent and independent variable. Well, actually, class, this is very important, especially in differentiating or identifying variables in research title. Because when you're because soon, actually, even up to this day, even this current situation, you're going to make a research proposal. Okay, so that will involve the chapter 1 and chapter 2. Make a research proposal pa man. Now, in the future, when you're going to proceed on college degree, so of course, you will be identifying the dependent and independent variable according to the title you've made. Okay, so you have here the research starts with effect and investigates in its possible cause. So we have here the dependent and independent variable. You just have to remember the color. Okay, it's the yellow and the blue one. The researcher starts with an effect. Okay, when you're going to make a research title, of course, usually it starts with effect. If not, usually it's always and investigates on its possible cause. So, mag-unang yun ang effect before ang causes. The cause variable or the one responsible for the conditions that act on something else to bring about changes is the dependent variable. Okay. Now, the one to bring about changes, changes is independent variable. So yung independent variable ay nagpapabago sa dependent variable. Bakit ba ito ang nagpapabago? Kasi it has something that affects the dependent variable. Again, the independent variable always changes the dependent variable. Dependent variable always affects the dependent variable. The dependent variable cannot give any impact to independent variable. Kaya nga tinawag siya independent kasi I don't need anything. That somebody doesn't need anything. Pero kung dependent ka, variable, of course, you need somebody outside. Kung sa tao pa, you still need mother. You still need a parents to be raised. Okay? So, ganun yung buhay, class. Now, what are the independent and independent variables? Okay, let's see right now, class. Now, okay, I have your example. Now, we have here, all you have to remember is this. For independent variable, or IV, okay, in research, you have to know that this IV, known as independent variable, and DV, known as dependent variable. Now, for IV class, independent variables is the cause, and dependent variable is the what? Dependent variable is the effect. Okay, let's take the example of test scores. You want to see the effect of studying or sleeping on a test score. In the example, test score is in the dependent variable. Studying or sleeping is the independent variable because these factors impact how such a student scores on the test. Okay, like for example, your title is, let's say for example, the impact of sleeping, the impact of, let's say sleeping, okay, sleeping towards student academic performance. Academic performance. Okay, let's say for example, that's your title, the impact of sleeping towards students' academic performance. Let's say for example, that's your title, okay? Okay. The impact of sleeping towards students' academic performance. Now, which part of the title implies the independent variables? Because as I always said, independent variables, ano ba? Takes place first before the dependent variables. Independent variable is the effect. Okay, so where in this sentence can you locate the independent variable? Okay, the independent variable here is the sleeping. Okay, sleeping towards the academic performance. Ano ba yung ano natin dito? Ang ating, let's say, ang academic performance also implies a test score. Ang ibig sabihin din ng academic performance is test score. So, ano ba ang dahilan? Bakit ba ang bata, bakit ba ang estudyante kaunti lang kuha ng score sa exam? Because what is the factor? Ano ba ang dahilan? Ano ba ang cause? Bakit yung effect niya is small lang score? Hindi nakapasa. Bakit hindi nakapasa? Because this is our independent variable. And the reason, this is the dependent variable. And the reason bakit siya nabagsak kasi siya ay natutulog. Siguro, kung hindi siya natutulog-tulog, nag-study siya, there will be a lot of great possibility that he will pass the exam or you will pass the exam. So that's it. Sleeping is the independent variable. Test score or your score in the exam is the dependent variable. Okay? If sleeping is the independent variable, it affects your performance. Meaning kapag natutulog ka, the effect on that performance is your grades will be low. But if the independent variable is you are studying harder, so your test score will increase. If you did not, your test score will decrease. Okay? Ganun lang. Gets ra? Okay, so this is an example. Anyway, I'm going to discuss sooner about making a research title. Okay, now these are examples on identifying a research title. No, identifying variables, dependent and independent variables in a certain title. Okay, let's explore class some examples of dependent and independent variables to understand their properties. How does the amount of sleep impact test score? Okay, in this statement class, where do you think is the independent variable? The independent variable here, since the title, the statement is all about how does the amount of sleep impact test scores. So our independent variable here is the time spent sleeping before the exam. Because if the longer you sleep, the lesser your score. So the effect of the test score, so since you slept for a long time, let's say for example, 4 hours, let's say for example, let's say let's exaggerate it 11 hours of sleep. The effect of 11 hours of sleep will be low score. Okay? Ganun yung implication niya. Pero kapag hindi ka natutulog-tulog, tapos nag-study ka, your test score will be higher than you expected. Okay. Next, how about this one? What is the effect of fast food on blood pressure? What is the effect of blood pressure of fast food on blood pressure? Of course, the independent variable here is the consumption of fast food because fast food is something that affects the blood pressure. So kapag daghan kay yung consumption of fast foods, mas taas imong blood pressure. Pero pag wala kay yung fast food, gamay imong blood pressure. Okay? So ganun lang yung pattern class sa dependent and independent variable. Again, what is the effect of caffeine on sleep? So our independent variable here is the amount of caffeine consumed and the sleep. So, kapag marami kang na-intake na caffeine, so yung sleep time mo, hindi ka masyado makakatulog, konti lang. But, if you consume like, okay lang, not too bad, not too much, well, the effect of that will be a great sleep, satisfying sleep, okay? So, ganun lang. Yung independent variable is ang yung naka-apekto at yung dependent variable is yung naapektuhan. Okay? Remember, dependent variable always changes. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the categorical, which is the qualitative. Okay? Now, for the qualitative class, we have here the nominal and the ordinal. Now, what is nominal class? Okay, nominal involves unordered categories which are mutually exclusive. Example, male or female, smoker or non-smoker. Okay, for the nominal class, okay, for the nominal, kapag sinabi ito nominal, you just have to categorize kung saan siya na-belong. Hindi dapat siya nakasunod-sunod. Okay? Di ba kanina sa numerical or quantitative variable, it's more on numbers. Pero pagdating dito sa categorical or qualitative variable, we have here the nominal and ordinal. Meron tayong dalawa. So for nominal, you have there what? Okay? You have there the segregation of names only. Halimbawa, male and female. You just have to separate male and female. Hindi baling hindi nakasunod-sunod yung mga A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Hindi naka-alphabetical. As long as yung goal is just to separate the male and female kasi nakakategorize lang naman eh. That's the point of nominal. Okay? Now, for the ordinal, ito na. From the word ordinal means order. So, dapat nakasunod-sunod. Ito yung kaibahan ng dalawa. Yung isa, yung nominal is unordered. Ito, yung pangalawa naman is dapat order. So, dapat alphabetical. Or let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minimal. Like for example, minimal, moderate, severe, unbearable pain, yung ganon. Kung sa card pa is yung good, very good, excellent. Yung ganon. Okay, nothing fail. O ganon yung sa ordinal. Okay, the order of something. Kung ano ang pagkakasunod-sunod according to its value. Okay? Next. For the ordinal data, these are the examples, okay, for the ordinal data. Ordinal data classifies variables into categories which have a natural order or rank. It has natural order or rank. Like for example, for the school grades. Now, okay, for the school grades, kapag sinabi nating A, of course, it implies what? Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng A? Ang ibig sabihin ng A is malaki yung grade. Kapag B, okay lang. Pag C, failed. Or let's say mababa. Di ba ganun yun? Okay. This is how ordinal data analyze. Now, kapag pagdating naman sa educational level class, we have here the bachelor's degree. Pag bachelor's, ito yung 4 years college mo. Ang master's degree class, kung gusto mong mas tumaas yung sahod mo at mas tumaas yung value mo as an employee of a certain school, so kailangan mo after ng 4 years, mag-aaral ka again. So kapag if master's degree is not enough for you, you have to continue the PhD, okay? Doctorate, no? So next day, patay ka na, char lang, oo. No? Sometimes it happens that way, but hopefully not kasi you know in the Philippines kasi we are longing for higher positions, we are aiming for higher positions. That's why we continue to educate ourselves in a certain institutions for us to have higher rank, no? Now for seniority level, we have here the junior, mid, and senior high. Okay, ganito yung mga age, di ba? As you can see, merong order, may pagkakasunod-sunod according to their value. Next, for the nominal data, we have here, nominal data divides variables into mutual exclusive label, naka-label lang siya class, hindi siya nakasunod-sunod. Okay, as long as the label, okay lang. Example, we have here the eye color. For the eye color, okay, dito, okay, nandito yung lista ng blue, nandito din yung lista ng brown, at nandito, bakit brown to? Okay, that's just for example. Dito yung nakalista yung green. Okay, naka-segregate siya. Yun lang yung point class. Okay, this is how you're going to analyze a nominal data. Okay, like for examples, for smartphone, okay, this is the list of iPhone users. Nandito naman din yung Samsung users. Nandito din yung Moto users. Let's say another phones, Nokia, okay, di ba pa? For transports naman, we have also here the bus, the train, and car. Di ba? Nakaseparate lang. That's the point of the nominal data. It doesn't matter if it's not formed in order pattern, but as long as it is segregated according to its category. Okay? So to sum up, ito yung lahat. Meron tayong variable, dalawang variable. We have here the categorical and numerical variables. So under the numerical variable, yung una natin diniscuss kanina, we have here the discrete and continuous. So for the continuous variable, meron tayong interval and ratio. And para sa isang major naman na variable, we have here the qualitative or the categorical variable. Meron tayong dalawa. We have here the nominal and we also have here the ordinal variable. Okay? Okay? So I hope na you learned something, and I'm just going to post next time a video for our next discussion. So that's all for today, class. Goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening.